Takata implied that Reiki had died in its homeland and she was the last of the line, that the original had gone. Researchers now understand this was untrue, and she was aware of it. Usui's own society, the Kakai, went quietly through the war and survived, and it operates in Japan to this day. Private, closed, its membership by invitation, with a line of presidents running unbroken since its death. It has never opened its records. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott, and today we're doing a deep dive on the mystery and power of Reiki, a subject I've really never discussed on the channel, and we definitely should talk about. Let me take you back. High on a mountain north of Kyoto, in the last cold weeks of winter, a man sits alone in the dark and waits to die or to be changed. 20 days have passed since he last ate. Cedars rise around him, ancient and immense, their canopy sealing out the sky. Water from the mountain streams has been his only food. His body has grown thin past the point of hunger, and the boundary between his mind and the forest has begun to dissolve. He came here broken. A life of study and travel and effort had collapsed into failure, and everything he tried had turned to ash in his hands. So he climbed to the one place in Japan where the impossible was said to live. And he made a bargain with the mountain, enlightenment or death, on the 21st day. Understand where he sits. This mountain carries a legend older than any human settlement. The temple here teaches that 6.5 million years ago, a being descended from the planet Venus, arriving by meteorite, taking a form with a long beard and a great nose and wings and a halo of leaves. Mountain spirits called Tengu, who train warriors in the dark, are said to proceed from that visitor. His remains are enshrined near the summit. Some Japanese sources give this being another name, one that will stop the breath of anyone who has studied the ascended masters. They call him Sanat Kumara. Now the 21st night arrives and the man has nothing left. Then something strikes him above his head. He perceives a light, a great and single power, and the light comes down and enters him. His body falls away, consciousness opens, and in that opening he sees shapes, symbols, a knowledge arriving whole and complete poured into him faster than thought. When he wakes, the starvation that should have killed him is gone. He runs down the mountain, and in his haste, he tears a toenail loose. And he does the thing that has become instinct. Both hands close around the injury. The pain stops, and the bleeding stops. That man was Mikao Usui. What he carried down that mountain would spread across the entire earth within a single century, reaching hospitals, cancer wards, hospice rooms, and the hands of millions of ordinary people. His enemies called it superstition. To his students, it was a miracle. He called it Reiki. Today we go into it completely, what it truly is, what happened on that mountain, the mysteries the West lost along the way, the laboratory evidence that reaches past every easy explanation, and the exact method step by step so you can awaken this in your own hands before you sleep tonight. Strip away the candles and the soft music, and Reiki makes a claim so large that most people fail to hear it. Break the word open. Rai means universal, spiritual, the soul, the sacred. Ki means life force, the animating current that moves through all living things. The same power the Chinese named Qi, the Indians named Prana, the Polynesians named Mana, the Greeks named Pneuma, and our own century calls the biofield. Put them together and you have universal life energy. Usui's full name for his system was Usui Reiki Ryoho, the Usui spiritual energy healing method. The claim underneath runs deeper than healing a sore shoulder. Reiki asserts that a conscious intelligence pervades the universe, that this intelligence carries an energy, that a human being can open a channel to it and that the energy will flow through that person and into whatever needs restoring, guided by a wisdom greater than the mind of the one channeling it. The healer heals nothing. Opening is the whole of the job, and something vast moves through. The last point separates Reiki from almost everything that came before. A magnetic healer of the 19th century pushed his own vital force into a patient and finished the day drained and hollow. Usui's practitioner functions as a conduit rather than a source, and leaves the practitioner refreshed rather than emptied. Something outside the small self does the work, and the practitioner simply agrees to become a doorway, which raises the question this whole episode circles: if a doorway can be opened in a human being, who taught the first one how to open it, and what came through? Usui chose no random peak for his ordeal, and the choice conceals the first great mystery of Reiki. Mount Kurama rises north of Kyoto, its temple founded in the year 770. The place has drawn seekers for 12 centuries, and the reason runs stranger than any tourist brochure admits. According to the teaching of the mountain's own school, a cosmic being called Mao Sun descended from Venus by meteorite 6.5 million years ago, arriving to guide the spiritual evolution of humanity. The temple holds that his body consists of elements unknown to ordinary human beings, that he remains eternally 16 years of age, and that he does no aging at all. Fragments of the meteorite are enshrined at Okunoin Mauden, deep in the forest near the summit, marking the exact spot where he is said to have arrived. Sit with the identification a moment longer. Japanese sources describing that shrine name the enshrined being Sanat Kumara. Anyone who has read Theosophy knows exactly what that means. Sanat Kumara appears in that literature as the Lord of the world, the Great One who came to Earth from Venus in the deep past to shepherd human evolution. A Japanese Buddhist mountain and a Western esoteric tradition separated by continents and centuries describe the same visitor arriving from the same planet on the same errand. And the question is, was this being the same as Ra, the same that pronounced themselves from Venus in the Law of One teachings? It's interesting that Jim McCarty, one of the main portions of the Law of One channeling, is a master Reiki practitioner. The next time I talk to him, I hope to ask if there's any connection with Ra. The mountain holds more. Its central deity, Santen, forms a trinity. Bishamonten, carrying light and wisdom, Senju Kanon, carrying love and compassion, and Mao Sun, carrying power and life force. The Tengu live here, mountain spirits dwelling in the towering cedars, and their king Sojobo trained a boy named Ushiwa Kamaru in swordsmanship at night in a hidden valley. That child grew into Yoshitsune, the most legendary warrior in Japanese history. Practitioners speak of an energy vortex near the main hall, turning one direction for 12 hours with the power of the earth, then reversing to turn with the power of heaven. So a ruined man climbed the mountain where a being from Venus came down, where Tengu train warriors in the dark, where the energy of earth and heaven exchange places at noon and midnight. He fasted for 21 days, and a light entered him. Whatever you believe about Venus, one fact stands beyond dispute. He came down carrying something that works. The record of Usui's life rests almost entirely on a single stone, and the stone tells a harder story than the legend. He was born on the 15th of August, 1865, in a village in Gifu Prefecture. His ancestry traced back to Chiba Tsunetene, a samurai bloodline. From his youth, he surpassed his fellows in effort and endeavor, and as a grown man he traveled to Europe and America and studied in China. He soaked himself in the esoteric traditions of his homeland, Tendai Buddhism, Shingon Buddhism, the mountain asceticism of Shugendo, martial arts, and the healing knowledge of several nations. Then comes the line that makes him human. Despite his will to succeed the stone records, he was stalemated and fell into great difficulties. Everything collapsed, and in the face of that adversity, he refused to yield and drove himself into harder training still. The stone declines to say what ruined him, and that silence has never been filled. Ruin sent him to the mountain, and the mountain answered. What happened afterward moved fast. In April of 1922, he settled in Harajuku in Tokyo and opened his society to teach the method to treat the sick. The stone preserves a detail worth 1,000 advertisements. The ground outside the building overflowed with the shoes of visitors who had come from far and near. By 1925, he had opened a larger school in Nakano. He taught his system to well over 2,000 people and trained 16 of them to the level of teacher. Death came on the 9th of March, 1926, at 62, a stroke taking him while he traveled to teach. 1 year later, his students raised a memorial at Saihoji Temple in Tokyo, 10 feet of stone carrying the story of his life. It stands there today in Suginami Ward, and anyone may go and read it. That stone remains the only contemporary source for the whole of his biography. Everything else we possess arrives through the mouths of his students, which means the mountain keeps its secret. We know what he came down with. What he met up there belongs to him alone. Skeptics have a fair question. A private school full of shoes proves only what people believed. Where is the moment Reiki met the world at its worst? The 1st of September 1923, at 2 minutes before noon, the Great Kanto earthquake tore through Tokyo and Yokohama. Buildings folded. Firestorms swept the wooden city, and a firestorm in Honjo killed nearly 40,000 people in minutes. When the shaking stopped and the burning ended, more than 100,000 human beings were dead, and the survivors filled the ruins in numbers no hospital in Japan could hold. The memorial stone describes it plainly. A great earthquake came and fire broke out, and everywhere there were groans of the wounded. Usui, and that's how I understand it pronounced, it may be different. Usui walked into that. He went into the smoking wreckage of the largest city in his country, and he laid his hands on the burned and the crushed and the dying, hour after hour, day after day, alongside his students. No medicine, no supplies, only hands. This is the moment Reiki entered Japanese public memory. Whatever was moving through his hands moved through them in the worst conditions imaginable, in front of thousands of witnesses, with the whole city watching, and the reputation it earned in those ruins carried the practice forward. A man who had been a failure 3 years earlier was now the healer who walked through the fire. The power announced itself, and a question sharpened behind it, a question that would occupy laboratories for the next 100 years. What exactly was coming out of his hands? Ask 100 Reiki practitioners, and I've met many, for the secret of the system, and most will reach for the symbols. Usui himself pointed somewhere else entirely. He gave his students 5 precepts, the Gokai, and he told them to recite the words each morning and each evening with their hands pressed together, and to hold them in the heart through the whole of the day. To this practice he gave a title of startling ambition, the secret method of inviting blessings, the spiritual medicine of 10,000 illnesses. Here are the 5 rendered simply. Just for today, no anger, no worry, deep gratitude, honest work, kindness toward every living being. Let me read that again. Just for today, no anger, no worry, deep gratitude, honest work, kindness toward every living being. Because a century of scented candles has buried what they are. These are no polite suggestions for a nicer life. They form a precise engineering specification for a human nervous system, and each one removes a specific obstruction from the channel. Anger closes the hands, worry scatters the field, gratitude opens the heart, which is the transmitter. Honest work grounds the energy in the world. Kindness aims the whole apparatus outward, away from the small self that blocks everything. Notice the 2 words that begin it, just for today. Usui asked for no lifetime vow, no permanent transformation, no impossible sainthood. He asked for 1 day, which any human being can manage, and then he asked for it again tomorrow. A person who truly holds those 5 conditions for a single day has entered a state, and the state is the medicine. This is the part the West mostly discarded on the way across the ocean. The hands become the product, and the precepts become a poster on the wall. Yet the founder called the precepts the secret method, and he called the healing an application of it. He built a mind training system and gave it hands. Everything that follows in this episode rests on that inversion. Reiki is a discipline of consciousness. The healing is what happens when the discipline succeeds. Now the part that draws everyone in, the part surrounded by the deepest secrecy. Usui brought symbols down the mountain, and for most of a century they were guarded with an intensity that seems absurd to modern eyes. Students paid heavily to receive them. Written copies were forbidden. Teachers required them memorized, never recorded. A student who drew one on paper had broken a serious trust. Four stand at the center of the tradition. Choku-rei, the power symbol used to amplify the flow, to focus it, to protect, to ground, and to break up blockages, functioning also as an amplifier for the other three. Sai-hei-ki, the mental and emotional symbol aimed at the deep mind, at anxiety, at grief, at addiction, at the buried patterns that hold sickness in place. Hansha-ze-shonen, the distant symbol, whose intention is timelessness, used to reach across space and across time, into the past, into the future, and which some practitioners hold to be a key that opens the Akashic records. And Dai-ko-myo, the master symbol, meaning great bright light, whose intention is enlightenment, reserved for teaching and for the ceremony that opens a new practitioner. A fifth, Raku, closes and grounds and seals the work. Practitioners drew them with a hand, or traces them with the eyes, or holds them in the mind, speaking the name silently 3 times, and the energy changes character. Here is the honest tension inside the tradition. Many teachers insist the symbols carry no power in themselves and serve only to focus the practitioner's intention. Others insist they must be activated through formal ceremony. That drawing them alone accomplishes nothing. Several respected teachers state plainly that the symbols are unnecessary, that Reiki flows perfectly well without them, and that they function as training wheels for a mind learning to aim. Which tells you something important. Whatever the true engine of this practice is, the shapes on paper are servants of the state behind them. Usui healed a torn toenail on the run down the mountain with no ceremony, no drawing, and no fee. Then comes the strangest claim in the whole system, and the one that would settle the question of whether any of this is real. Reiki holds that a teacher can perform a ceremony over a student called Reiju in Japan and attunement in the West, and that the ceremony permanently opens a channel in that person which stays open for the rest of their life. Practitioners describe it as a lifelong condition. Even a person who abandons the practice for decades keeps the connection, waiting, available for the moment they reach for it again. Consider what that asserts. One consciousness reaches into another and produces a permanent structural change in their capacity to move energy. No drug is given and no surgery is performed. A human being sits with hands folded. A second human being moves around them for a few minutes, and something in the first person is different forever. The tradition fractures over how essential this is. Dominant Western teaching holds it as an absolute gate, that no ceremony means no Reiki. Others describe the ceremony as an amplifier rather than a gate, a thing that strengthens what a person already carries and teaches them the formal language of the system. In Japan, Reiju was given repeatedly, again and again at every meeting, treated as nourishment rather than a one-time key turning it in a lock. Sit with the second view for a moment, because a body of laboratory work supports it in a way that would shake the whole debate. When William Bingston taught skeptical undergraduates a hands-on healing technique and set them to work on cancerous mice, the mice recovered. Those students believed none of it. No lineage authorized them. Their disbelief made no difference whatsoever. Something in the human organism appears to carry this capacity as standard equipment. The ceremony may open it, or may simply give a person permission to use what was there the whole time. Set the mysteries aside and follow the evidence, because the evidence goes much further than polite skeptics admit. The easy dismissal says expectation explains everything. A calm room, confident practitioner, a patient who hopes in the body's own pharmacy does the rest. That explanation carries real weight, and it collapses the moment you test hands on something that holds no beliefs. Begin at McGill University in the early 60s, where the biologist Bernard Grad tested a Hungarian healer named Oscar Estebany under blinded laboratory conditions. Grad wounded anesthetized mice with identical small cuts. Estebany held their cages for 15 minutes twice a day, touching no animal. Ordinary volunteers held the cages of a control group. Estebany's mice healed significantly faster, and the ordinary volunteers produced nothing. Grad induced goiters in mice through an iodine-poor diet, and the treated animals' thyroids grew significantly slower. He watered barley seeds with saline that Estebany had held in a sealed bottle, and those seeds grew taller, weighed roughly a quarter more, and carried more chlorophyll. Sister Justa Smith, a biochemist and nun, watched Estebany wrap his hands around a flask of the enzyme trypsin and measured its activity, climbing to match what a powerful magnetic field produces. Mice hold no expectations. Seeds believe nothing. A sealed flask of enzyme carries no hope. Then came the career work. William Bingston, a professor of research methods, injected laboratory mice with a mammary adenocarcinoma that kills 100% of untreated animals inside roughly 27 days. Healers held their hands around the cages. The tumor swelled, blackened, and dissolved, and the animals reached full lifespan cancer-free. More than a dozen such experiments have run across 6 independent laboratories. Cured mice proved immune when researchers injected the cancer a second time. The effect showed no fall-off with a distance. Water and cotton held by a healer carried the cures into cages no healer touched. A peer-reviewed paper in 2018, co-authored by Dean Radin, documented measurable changes in gene expression inside cancer cells exposed to the method. Reiki itself has been studied directly, and the picture is stronger than the headlines suggest. As of July 2024, there were 140 peer-reviewed Reiki papers published. 4 published literature reviews conclude there is sufficient evidence that Reiki outperforms placebo in reducing pain and anxiety. A systematic review of randomized trials calculated effect sizes reaching as high as a Cohen's d of 4.5 for pain reduction between groups, an enormous figure by the standards of any clinical field. 66 clinical studies of biofield therapies gathered into a single review showed strong evidence for reducing pain intensity. In 2022, a systematic review of 14 controlled trials against placebo found a high-quality evidence of benefit for clinical stress and depression. Note the design that matters most. Serious trials now use sham Reiki as the control, untrained people performing the motions with no training and no intention. One fibromyalgia study gave real Reiki to 25 patients and sham Reiki to 25 others. The comparison isolates the thing itself from the theater around it. Reiki has walked into the hospitals. It is used across American health systems today, offered in cancer infusion centers during chemotherapy, in surgical recovery, and in hospice. A study published in 2025 measured pain, fatigue, anxiety, nausea, and well-being before and after brief Reiki sessions given to patients receiving infusion treatments at 2 university hospital centers. The official establishment holds its line. America's National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health states that Reiki has yet to be clearly shown effective for any health purpose, and the most research has been low quality with inconsistent results. Researchers in the field answer that the evidence suggests otherwise, and that the studies are small because nobody will fund large ones. So the fight continues. And meanwhile, the practice keeps spreading through the very hospitals that fund the skeptics. One more mystery deserves its moment because it carries a lesson that goes to the heart of everything we explore together. Reiki reached the West through a Japanese-American widow from Hawaii named Hawayo Takata, who arrived at a Tokyo clinic in the 30s carrying a tumor, gallstones, and appendicitis, refused the surgery, healed under the hands of Usui student Shuziro Hayashi, and carried the practice home across the Pacific. Then history closed around her. Hayashi, a naval surgeon, traveled to Hawaii at her invitation and returned to Japan in 1938 to face naval authorities demanding intelligence about American targets in Honolulu. He had walked those streets. Anything that would harm those students abroad, he refused to give to them. In May of 1940, he summoned Takata by telegram to his villa near Mount Fuji. And there, in the front of her and his other students, he took his own life by seppuku to preserve his family's honor. Pearl Harbor burned 19 months later, and 120 100,000 Japanese Americans went into internment camps. Picture her position, a Japanese woman in America teaching a Japanese Buddhist healing art during a war with Japan, having just watched her teacher die rather than betray her country of birth. So she changed the story. She taught that Usui had been a Christian, that he had presided over a university in Kyoto, that he held a theology degree from the University of Chicago, and that his whole quest began when his students asked him how Jesus healed, and he had no answer. In 1990, a researcher named William Rand wrote to both universities to learn more about their famous alumnus. Neither institution had ever heard of Mikao Usui. Copies of the letters survive. Usui was no Christian, no doctor, and no professor. He was a samurai's descendant, buried in a Buddhist temple. One more thread hangs loose and has never been pulled. Takata implied that Reiki had died in its homeland and she was the last of the line, that the original had gone. Researchers now understand this was untrue, and she was aware of it. Usui's own society, the Kakai, went quietly through the war and survived, and it operates in Japan to this day. Private, closed, its membership by invitation, with a line of presidents running unbroken since its death. It has never opened its records. And a woman named Chioko Yamagachi, trained by Hayashi himself in the 1930s, practiced silently in Japan for 60 years while the West built an industry on Takata's version. Her son revealed the family's unbroken line in the 90s under the name Jikiden Reiki, and suddenly the West could compare what Hayashi actually taught against what had crossed the ocean. The differences were real. Usui taught 6 levels and the West received 3. Somewhere in Tokyo, a society founded by a man who came down off a mountain in 1922 holds papers no outsider has read. Now hold the irony, because it belongs to you. The fabrication is the reason Reiki exists in your country. A truthful account in 1942 would have died in a nation that was interning her people. She wrapped a Buddhist practice in Christian clothing and smuggled it through a war, and the practice survived, and it now sits in the cancer wards of the country that would have destroyed it. A story was spoken, the story became a world, and the healing inside it was real the entire time. Consider what that demonstrates about the power of the narrative held with conviction. The teller of the tale reshaped reality for millions of people who came after her. Now, it's my belief that it's impossible to properly study scientifically the use of Reiki. Each practitioner is going to be a little bit different. I believe something is really here, that it's very effective, that this is one of the true sciences of using intelligent energy in order to heal. Here's the practice, and here's where we understand the mysteries of Reiki. The Japanese teach a daily discipline called Hatsurayo. Hatsu means to arise, to give birth, to reveal what lies hidden. Rai means spirit and soul, and the inconceivable spiritual ability inside a person. Ho means method. Put together, the name announces exactly what it does, a method for revealing the hidden spiritual power you already carry. Usui's own students practice this daily, and it builds the channel, cleans the field, and strengthens the current in the palms. 10 minutes will do it. Makinen, the focusing. Sit comfortably on a floor or in a chair, spine long, close your eyes and rest your hands, palms down, on your lap. Breathe slowly and settle. Then state silently and clearly inside yourself that you are beginning Hatsurayo. Intention opens the door, and the declaration is the intention made real. Kenyoku is next, the dry bathing. This clears the field and disconnects you from the day. Place your right hand on your left shoulder, fingers at the joint where the collarbone meets. Breathe in. And on the exhale, sweep the hand firmly down diagonally across your chest into your right hip. Place your left hand on your right shoulder. Breathe in. And on the exhale, sweep down to your left hip. Repeat once more with your right hand. Now bring your left elbow against your side with the forearm horizontal. Place your right hand on the inside of your left forearm. Breathe in and exhale, sweep down the arm and out past the fingertips. Do the same on the other arm. Then once more with the first arm. Feel yourself becoming clean and separate and ready. The next is the connection. Raise both arms above your head, palms upward and open, and breathe. Feel the current pour down from above into your hands, down your arms and into your body. Slowly lower your hands to your lap, palms up, carrying the flow with them. Joshin Kokyu Ho, the cleansing breath, is next. Hands rest palms up on your lap. Breathe in slowly through your nose and feel white light descend through the crown of your head, flowing down into your tanden, the center of gravity 2 inches below your navel. Let it gather there, filling your core, dissolving tension and fear. And as you exhale, feel the light expand outward through your skin, in all directions, infinitely past the room, past the city, out into the universe. Try that for several minutes. This single practice builds the reservoir. Next is gasho, or the joining. Bring your palms together in front of your heart, slightly above it, fingers pointing up. Drop your shoulders, use no force. Rest your entire attention on the point where your middle fingers meet and hold it there. When the mind wanders, return to the fingertips. The next practice is Saishen Toitsu, the unified spirit. Stay in gasho and move your attention away from your nose. Breathe through your hands, and on the inhale, feel light flow in through your palms, down into your heart and into your tanden. Exhaling, feel it flow back out through your palms and radiate to the world. You continue that for several minutes and allow the mind to go quiet and wide. Next is Gokai Shanshu, the precepts 3 times. Recite the 5 silently or aloud 3 times through. Just for today, no anger, no worry, deep gratitude, honest work, kindness toward every living being. Feel each one as a condition you are entering rather than a rule you are obeying. Then there's the closing mokunen. State silently that you are finished. Lower your hands to your lap, palms down, sit a moment, feel the room return and open your eyes. Do this every day for 30 days and pay attention to your palms. Heat arrives first for most people, then pressure, then a fullness, then a pulse. This begins the process of healing hands. Now the hands themselves. First, find the trouble. The Japanese call this byosen, which means something close to a sick accumulation, the buildup of physical or emotional or energetic congestion in a place. Hold your palm a few inches above the body, your own or another's, and comb slowly across, holding the quiet intention to perceive what needs attention. The sensations carry a name, hibiki, and they arrive as heat, coldness, tingling, throbbing, a magnetic pull, a pressure pushing back, a heaviness, or a faint electrical prickle. Those places are your work. Trust the first impression, since the analytical mind arrives second and argues. Second, you enter the state. Before you touch anyone, become what you intend to give. Breathe into your heart. Call up genuine warmth. See the person before you whole and well and finished. Feeling the relief of their recovery as an accomplished fact rather than hope. Release all straining toward the result, because effort broadcasts doubt and doubt closes the channel. Detachment, love, certainty, surrender, 4 words for 1 condition. Third, you place your hands. For self-treatment, work through a sequence and rest 3 to 5 minutes in each position. Both palms over the eyes, palms on your temples, hands cradling the back of your head, palms over your throat and jaw, resting lightly, hands over your heart, move down to your solar plexus, then your lower abdomen, resting 3 to 5 minutes in each. Finish with your hands over your knees, and if you can, reach your kidneys and lower back. For another person, begin at the head and work down the body, the crown, then the temples, then the back of the head, the throat and shoulders, the heart, the solar plexus, the abdomen, the hips, the knees, and the feet. Front of the body first, then the back, if they can turn over. Hold each position 3 to 5 minutes or longer. Wherever the biosen speaks loudly, rest your hands still and gentle. Hover an inch above the skin instead of touching, if that suits you better, since the effect holds either way. Fourth, let the hands lead. The Japanese call this Reiju, allowing the spirit to indicate, come into Gasso. Ask silently for guidance, and then let your hands go where they are drawn rather than where the chart says. Usui trained his students to follow this above any fixed sequence. Mechanical repetition kills the work. Now, fifth, allow it through rather than out. Picture the current descending from above, entering the crown of your head, flowing down through your heart and out along your arms into your palms. You give none of your own vitality away, so you finish a session refreshed. This correction protects the healer, and it separates Reiki from the older magnetic healing that drained its practitioners hollow. Sixth, close cleanly. Rest your hands still for a moment. Offer silent thanks. Lift your palms away. Slowly, shake your hands out and rinse them in cool water. I recommend don't touch anything until you've cleaned your hands. Release the person and the outcome completely. Attachment afterward does the same damage that straining does during. Now, for someone far away, set an appointed hour with them. At that time, they rest and receive while you sit in Gasso. Rub your palms warm, hold their image in your mind, and treat the space between your hands as the place where the body rests. Many practitioners use a surrogate, a pillow, or their own knee standing in for the person. Bingston's laboratory found no fall-off with distance whatsoever, and Usui's own students healed by appointment across the whole of Japan. Now you can see why it is almost impossible to study scientifically. So when people nitpick and look at clinical studies, each time a Reiki master is doing this work, it's going to be different. Some may not be doing the work properly. Some may not be completely committed. Some may be deeply committed. So each person that's doing it is going to be different. There is no way to uniformly study this. In my own experience, it is about consciousness. We know that consciousness heals, and this is a proven method that works effectively, and I believe over time has enriched and developed. And there are many Reiki practitioners that I would send my best of friends to that I believe in strongly. Couple notes on the early weeks. Beginners often worry about doing it wrong. And worry is the single thing that Precepts warn against, so release it. You can give yourself Reiki lying in bed before sleep, and many practitioners do exactly that for the rest of their lives. Falling asleep mid-session harms nothing. Working on a person who feels skeptical harms nothing either. Since Bingston's disbelieving students cured mice while certain the whole business was absurd. Expect sensations and welcome them. Heat is the most common, sometimes startling heat, tingling, pulsing, magnetic push, waves of emotion rising. To me, this is the proof that something is happening. Those sensations are super fascinating. Some people feel nothing at all, weeks, while the results arrive anyway. Notice everything, judge nothing, and continue. Use this beside your medical care rather than in place of it, and give it a real trial daily across several weeks before you decide what you think. This goes along with what I teach about the bliss body. I believe with our minds and with our bodies that we can guide healing energy through our bodies. In every way, shape, and form, I'm trying to study those different teachings and bring them to you. So every mystery in this episode points to the same direction. The precepts train a state, the symbols focus a mind, and the attunement transmits a condition from one consciousness into another. Reiki is a place where we can start to look at this. We can see those teachings and how they have worked. Those mice healed because a coherent field surrounded their cage, and the barley grew because coherence had been stored in the water, and the tumors dissolved because a human being held a state of loving detachment near a cage of dying animals. Takata reshaped the destiny of healing art by holding a story with total conviction until the world rearranged itself around her telling. Reiki is a consciousness technology. That is the secret stated plainly. A human being enters a specific inner condition, love without straining. certainty without doubt, presence without agenda, and that condition organizes itself outward through the hands into whatever it meets. Disorder reorganizes toward the order it encounters. Usui, if that's how it's pronounced, built a system for producing that condition on demand, dressed it in the language of his own traditions, and gave it away to anyone willing to sit for 10 minutes a day. Which means the power was never his, it belongs to no lineage, no certificate, and I believe no symbol, although those symbols can carry Akashic resonance. It doesn't require a $10,000 weekend, though. Many of you may have tried it, and it helped you, and that's amazing. He proved that on that mountain, with nothing but his own ruined body, and 21 days of silence, a being from Venus may have visited that peak 6.5 million years ago, or the legend may be the mountain dreaming. Either way, what came into Mikao Usui came into a starving man who had lost everything and refused to yield, and that same current runs in you at this moment. In the warmth behind your ribs, in the quiet weight of your palms, you carry the doorway. The precepts open it, the breath widens it, and your hands deliver whatever you have become. So begin tonight. Sit in the dark, gather your love, steady your certainty, and rest your palms on the place that hurts your own body or someone else. Feel the heat arrive. And you know that what is moving under your hands has traveled through spiritual wards and earthquake ruins and mountains since 1922 and beyond, may have traveled through the hands of Jesus and through Samuel Weltmer and so many others that have utilized hands as a healing technology. I believe you can heal with your hands. These sort of practices should be studied. The key that we have learned in my other episodes on healing with the hands is that it is a state of mind. And the deeper that you enter into this state, in connecting to the other, the greater healing that you can provide. And the healing is not you doing the healing. The healing is coming from somewhere else, and you become a channel for the healing energy. There is an energy around us, and I believe it grows thicker and more dense in this new earth that we're entering. That this energy we have more access to than we did even 10 years ago. And you have access to it too. And you can open yourself up to it as a channel if you are in the right state of mind, and you can guide it and you can use it to heal yourself and others. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. I want to invite you before we go to join the Reality Revolution community at school.com. www.skool.com/Reality Revolution, where I hold weekly group coaching sessions and unique trainings, exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. Join me there. I can't wait to meet you. You can find the link in the description. I'm sending all my love to everybody. I'm sending this energy out, non-locally. And if you're hurting, if there's some part of you in pain, if some part of you needs to be healed in this moment, I call upon this energy to flow through me and out through my voice into the carrier wave as you hear my voice into you, and you begin to heal. And that's just the beginning. As you heal, as you awaken, you become the healer. Take this energy that's flowed through you and healed you and heal others, and let's change the world one healing at a time. Welcome to the Reality Revolution.